Pink, a really great campaigning organisation.
Video use.
Welcome.
So, my name is Medea Benjamin. I live in Washington, D.C., in the center of the beast, and we have been doing a lot of work on this issue as well. And I just ran into some of you outside the Ecuadorian embassy, and they told me you'd be here, so it's so great to get a chance to see you. And we have a similar activity going on right now in several cities in the United States, and we really feel like we've got to come together and think of a way to increase the pressure. I think
to storm the White House, really. That's what you need to do.
What?
You need to storm the White House.
Well, if
That's
you lived
what
in
we need to
Washington,
do.
D.C., you'd know that that's not something that's possible.
It is possible. Just get those big trucks, lots of people in, and storm them.
Sorry, you can't get near it.
It's possible. If other countries can do it, you can do it even better.
Well, I think you should come to the U.S. and see
Oh,
what
no,
the
I will
situation
never
is.
leave there.
You can't get near there's a huge fence outside. You can't get near the White House. We get arrested for standing at the fence of the White House, much less trying to get further in. And we do get arrested all the time protesting outside the White House. So I think that I want to just express solidarity and recognize that this has gotten really, really bad. And what we've been doing, and I understand your sentiment, what we've been doing is certainly not enough. The fact that there are that there are 86 people who have been cleared for release and have not been released is just outrageous. Of course, coupled with the fact that people have been there for, some of them, 11 years. And that Barack Obama continues to put himself forward as a constitutional lawyer and a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and the U.S. being the model of democracy. It's so sad that so many people around the world continue to think that. And yet we are such a tremendous violator. So it wasn't so much for the taping. I wanted to actually have a brainstorm with you and think of things that we can do. We've talked about people going on a hunger strike in the U.S., but we wondered, would it even get publicity, because we've done that before and it hasn't really taken off. For those of you who don't know the situation in the U.S., we protest outside the White House all the time, and that doesn't get publicity even. So we're thinking of maybe doing something in a different location, the Justice Department, but it's not really the Justice Department that makes this decision. It's President Obama, it's the Defense Department. I was just with Julian Assange and talking to him about this. You know, what could we do? And we talked about launching maybe some global call that people do a fast for as many days as they can do it, but that we do something in a global way, in a very visible way. So I really wanted to get ideas about how we can make ourselves more effective in our protests. I think, like you, it's hard to get large numbers of people out, even though this is so outrageous. When we have demonstrations, we're lucky if we can get 100 people. So we've got to do something that is not based on numbers, but something more profound. So I would like to get your ideas. What do people think about it?
Anybody got anything to say? We've got a brainstorm now, if anybody's willing to take part in it. What about
We're just going to keep writing.
keep writing?
Keep writing to the MPs, write and really make their lives, you know, every time they open a letter, saying do something. It's one thing, I think.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm just going to say, what about it's a question really of the power of the lobby groups in America, and also in regards then to within the administration itself, you know, how many staffers, because these are various things that I've heard that staffers are alarmed at, you know, how laws are broken, and also then this direct link between President Obama, who's actually there as civilian, but has the say then over the military. So you don't have that circle where you've got a judicial process that's going on that has any meaning at all. So what about links that one could perhaps make over time with members of the staffers? Because I know that many of them now are alarmed in the direction that America are going, also more vocal about it. But have you tried to establish links in that way? Is that possible?
Well,
in other words, making friends within the administration.
Yeah. We have met with people in the State Department, and I think the State Department is a little easier for us to have access to, because you can actually call somebody, a human rights desk, meet with somebody.
Yeah.
And John Kerry is the new Secretary of State. It's important to put pressure on him because he actually can also call for a waiver of the directive that is keeping people in
Yes.
Guantanamo. So it could be Kerry, it could be Chuck Hagel from the Department of Defense, or it could be the President. Those
Yes.
are the three areas.
Yes.
So yes, people are very disturbed, and I think the hunger strike has really shined a spotlight on this. But it feels like there has to be something from the grassroots that people can do, and that's what I'm. What do people think about launching some kind of global rolling?
I think after 11 years of shameful torture, really shameful, and accepting indefinite detention, and now that we've got drones, killies, when people are assassinated abroad every night, or are living in horror, every night they cannot sleep because there are drones flying around. I am absolutely outraged that US nation hasn't got enough guts to storm the White House and just kick out those murderers, because that's whom they are. They are murderers. And I don't understand your argument that it's not that easy. It's never easy. Revolution's never been easy. You need to be prepared for sacrifice. But you need to make this choice because people are dying right now.
Okay.
And it's because...
Anybody else want to say a few words?
I would like to say a few words. I agree with you completely. I do feel that at least since 2008, since Obama has become the president, the issue has very much been for the grassroots. It's the grassroots independent journalists in the United States who have been absolutely fantastic, with the exception of Carol Rosenberg from the Miami Herald, who's just amazing, who have been taking up the issue and actually giving us the news. Until about 2 weeks ago, the rest of the world knew nothing, apart from Russia Today and those independent journalists, about what's been going on in Guantanamo Bay for the last few months. And even when on the weekend, on Saturday, when the military command decided to put out this press release about the violence that suddenly erupted over the weekend, I mean, I think we have to question, why did they choose that time to actually put that press release out and make us aware of what's going on? Because suddenly it then erupted in the press. So it is down to the grassroots, it's down to organisations like ours, the London Guantanamo Campaign, yours, Code Pink in the United States, and other groups all around the world. It's up to ordinary people. And I mean, personally, yes, we're outside the American embassy, but I think it's a global problem. It's something that affects all countries. All countries are complicit. We had that report by the Open Society Foundation earlier this year. 54 states were complicit in extraordinary rendition. So every single one of those states has got to do something to help close Guantanamo. We help to open it, we should help to close it. That's what friends do, isn't it? You know, the Americans and the British, we have a special relationship. So we should be working together, because that's what friends do. We help each other.
How are those organisations, at this particular point, working together, and how do you see that in terms of linking up?
Well, we do what we can. I mean, we do know about each other's organisations.
Yeah.
We did hold, one of the things that we did on the 6th of April to mark the beginning of the 3rd of March, we held a day of action across London. But we'd also held an international tweet to Critter storm in the daytime over here, but it was early in the morning in the United States, so that basically people from all around the world could take part in it. Unfortunately, people in California decided to join in because it was so early in the morning for them when we'd actually finished. But we did try to do something international, and then on the 11th of January this year, we did actually coordinate our efforts from various parts of the world to see what we're doing. And hopefully on the 1st of June, Omar Khadr has been released, but he's still in jail in Canada, and we might just be across the road on the other side of the Square over here, protesting on his behalf as well. So
Yes.
that will be part of an international effort as well. So no, we are, the grassroots are working, but we need more people to join us, and we need more of the larger organisations, the more mainstream organisations to do something as well. Not just when it's expedient for them to have to be in front, be on the TV, or for them to have media exposure for their organisation, but all the time, because it's constantly an issue.
And what about? Sorry.
So we as a human rights organisation, we're only a small NGO, and we all run by volunteer. But I would say that we probably spend a good 70% of our waking lives working towards various issues. Palestine, Guantanamo, Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. And we have tried to spread ourselves across all of those many issues. The point of the matter is that when it comes to the principle, we're looking at the same cause. So what we are doing, seemingly, is always trying to address and mitigate the effects. And this has now, in regards to Guantanamo, really reached absolutely extraordinary proportion. And as you said a moment ago, Mr. Obama, claiming to be a constitutional lawyer, really perhaps ought to revisit his constitutional law or do something more meaningful about it. And as my colleague was saying, the lobby pressure is also something that we need to be very aware of and work to try to mitigate. And very much like you, I'm probably in my area where I live in Labrador, I'm probably one of the very few constituents to be constantly on my MP's back, and he comes back to me with the same sort of towing the line kind of replies. But probably one strategy would be to just all descend upon our respective MPs as a group rather than making individual appointments. Another one is to continue to encourage those we know in our neighbourhoods to really take a more proactive role, because unless the pressure is built bottom up and there's a ground swelling, the politicians are just going to continue to fob us off.
Well, one thing is breaking through the wall of ignorance, isn't it? Actually people knowing about it. We seem to have actually created something. If this gets onto YouTube or something, we can announce the fact that we've created a street forum for discussion, that people can come and find out from experts like Aisha and others about what's going on, because you won't find it on the main media at all, and some people don't really bother to search anywhere else for news. And as the good weather comes on, we can meet outside the American Embassy and educate people. We can have another session like this.
Well, what about a fast, that we would announce a particular day that we would call on people globally to, even if it was a one-day fast, those who can do a week, 2 weeks. Julian Assange said he would do it. We could get other well-known people. There's all kinds of people who've expressed support that if we did it globally together and we said on this day, and people sign up on a website and they say, I'm going to commit to doing X numbers of days, and we try to do it in visible places. Those who can would do it a place like here. Does that sound like something that might be of interest?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great idea.
If we could pick a day that would be symbolic, or, I mean, obviously we need a couple of weeks, or, I don't know, we need some time to get it together and get people to sign up, so that when we announced it, we'd already have like 500 people, or, whatever our goal is. But it would be really great, I think, to do it jointly with all these different groups between U.S., Canada, and we've been in touch with people in Yemen, with the family members and others. I think something like that, a little more dramatic, would be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So how do we follow up with that?
We certainly have exchanged details, and we know how to contact one another, and we can begin to filter that down. And everyone who's here is presumably either in receipt of the London Guantanamo campaign emails or on your mailing list. I know I am on both. We are on quite a number of things. So, just sharing the information and making sure that it is disseminated.
Yes, I mean, if you have the hub, let's say Code Pink and others, so that everything is directed in respect to the information, and then going out like the roots of a tree in that respect. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah,
I'm
if
sure
we create a separate website just for the fast
Yes.
that people can sign up on.
Yes. And also,
Facebook, yeah.
and possibly then what one would have spent, let's say, that day or that week on food, that could be put also into in terms of funding.
Well, that's something that Julian suggested, and I wasn't sure how he'd feel. He suggested it going to the legal groups, but I guess maybe what we could do is list about 6 groups, and people could pick who they wanted to send it to. Because some might want to send it to, like in the U.S., there's a Center for Constitutional Rights, here there's Reprieve, but they might want to give it to London.
Yes,
Guantanamo.
I think that's a great. Yes, if you have a combination of the two, I think that would be really good. And then and also, even though the grassroots is always going to be the way forward, as we know, and so we have, like in a sense, a worldwide constituency of understanding, as Alan Hart put it. But at the same time, then, if you have prominent people who are going to sign up to do something like that and put themselves forward, that is also, I think, something that one should work on. I'm sure there are many who would want to support that. In fact, apart from rhetoric.
And get all your progressive members of Parliament. You've got more than we have, actually. There aren't any.